I had a very strange experience once where I was coming back from a camp way out in K and 9 o'clock or something, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was really dark out there, so I had my headlamp, and I went to one of the signs, and I saw it, and the sign said 9 o'clock and blah, 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 and I'm like, okay, I have to go that way, and I turned to my left, and there's this woman standing there, and she's like 6 feet tall, and her face is a little bit weird. She's kind of beautiful, but her face is a little bit weird, and she's wearing this little Barbarella outfit, and she's freezing. She's like shivering, and I'm like, come with me. Let's find a place to get you warm. So we go to this camp, and there's these giant teddy bears. I think it was Hugzilla. Is it Hugzilla?
That sounds right.
We go to Hugzilla. I mean, there was like 10 different giant teddy bears, and we jump on a teddy bear, and then we pull a teddy bear on top of us, and she's spooning me from behind, and the only thing I could think of was like her face was really weird. I'm like, am I sleeping with an alien? Is there an alien? Am I sleeping with an alien right now? So we both doze off. 4 hours later, the campmates come out. I'm like, guys, we're cleaning up. You got to go, blah, blah, blah. And she goes her way, and I go my way. We didn't say anything to each other. We just slept together.
Fucking, or slept like slept?
No. She was spooning me from behind, and we just went to sleep.
Sorry. Just
Nothing
had to
happened.
check in the term.
Yeah.
You guys cuddled up and got warm and fell asleep together.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yes. We cuddled up and went to sleep.
Took a survival nap.
I think I slept with an alien that night.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I have been convinced that if aliens are amongst us, they must come to Playa. It's like one of the most interesting things that us weird little monkeys are doing.
Yeah, exactly. They're looking at that and saying, let's go down there and check it out.
And it's such an inviting place to land from overhead.
And we're very used to weird behavior.
Yeah.
Tall, so it must have been one of the Nordic aliens.
Yeah.
Not a gray.
Pleiades.
Better that than one of the lizards.
Yeah, she wasn't a lizard.
No.
It looked like she had mechanical infrastructure in her face. It was really weird.
We know where the lizards camp.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's pretty
Grover
obvious.
Norquist has been coming out for years.
Yeah.
If there's a lizard amongst us, it's that feller.
Right.
Well, if it isn't the interview we've put the absolute most research into ever.
I have so many notes for the incident.
Oh my gosh.
Add the notes.
Well, you guys did say a bunch of things completely wrong, and I might have left it in. So
Look,
I have to correct the record.
It's in the goddamn title of our podcast. Welcome to Accuracy Third. I'm Rex.
Hi, I'm D-Day.
I'm Beth.
And this is Accuracy Third. Today on Accuracy Third, we are talking with an artist, Victor, who, if you haven't listened to our 2022 Afterburn episode, you might want to stop right here, listen to that, and hear how thoroughly and unkindly we should talk to this man's art. Wherein then he emailed us and asked if we would like to hear his Burning Man experiences like 3 days later.
I don't think we were necessarily unkind. We were, at worst, uncharitable.
Look, man, I got like a kind setting, a doing stuff setting, and like kind of an unkind setting.
Was that what you call that?
Kind of. I would like to say that, like, I am very impressed and happy that Victor reached out to us to discuss.
100%.
What a decent dude. I mean,
we have shit talked a lot of art on this podcast, and nobody who made two babies touching through backs has ever reached out to us.
And I would just like to say, I would, in the realm of being a little weasel, I would never say, like, mean things about someone's art when I'm meeting the artist. But I feel like critique of art is part of the excitement and interest and engagement of Burning Man for me. So a big part of my interest is I have this community, and together we talk about the art.
And just like, was it Firefly? No, who made the Don't Like the Art?
You don't need to like the art.
Ranger
That was Firefly.
Yeah.
Just like we discussed with him before we went out. You don't have to like all the art.
Mm-hmm.
And just being kind of a cynical piece of shit, I really enjoy talking about why I don't like art. I think there's something really fun, especially if you're not. So maybe it's because I went to grad school and had to learn how to do positive feedback all of the time, where when you're talking to a fellow equal artist and you're trying to offer them things that are helpful for them to know and things that you think are neat, and you're not trying to like go critique it very harshly. You're trying to hand them information so that they can improve. So maybe it is just like I really enjoy not having to do that and just being like, well, this sucks for these 7 reasons, and anyone who thinks differently is just incorrect.
Well, I think a part of being a valid artist is getting artistic criticism as you are honing the different modalities of art that you do. And as you're making the art, thinking about the artistic criticism that you would get if the piece were done right now. What would people say about the way that I've made this shape or concept? And Victor engages with that. And also, Victor has created a piece of art that I have spoken about like second most on Playa last year.
Oh, God. It really did give me my biggest laughs. That and the still unnamed slum town that we found.
The guerrilla art.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Love both of it. And Wrong Way.
Wrong Way. Oh, I had almost forgotten about Wrong Way.
You can't forget about Wrong Way. Like, I think about Wrong Way and I sigh gasp with happiness.
That's true. Like, regardless of our opinion of its particular qualities, Divers Up, it had an impact. It caused a reaction in all of us.
Oh, yeah. It
evoked.
It is art for a bunch of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Should we take a moment and actually describe Divers Up for those of you that missed it on Playa or have not yet been to Playa? Divers Up was what? Does he describe it? It's like 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
It was gonna be 30 feet tall, and it is the naked torso of a woman with arms raised to lift a large sort of like old style diver's helmet off of her head. But because of things you'll hear about in this podcast, the head was just laying on the ground next to it. So it was just a headless torso of tits and then a diver's helmet on the ground next to it.
Hands up.
Hands up.
Hands up, helmet off, tits out.
Yeah, so that's a vague description of it. You can see pictures of it on Playa. If you Google it, you can check out Victor's work. He has a website that covers all of his work, including photography and sculpture and all kinds of stuff, and painting that you can check out. It's victorsparelli.com, I'm pretty sure. If you look up Victor
we'll
and Divers Up, then you will figure out how to spell his last name, which I do not know.
Beth, as our resident goddess, would you like to tell us your thoughts on iteration?
I would say that, it's interesting that there are so many large naked ladies out there. Just as like a thought process for the art that we see out there, it is, I'm going to go ahead and say almost trite to make a large naked lady for Burning Man. And I don't care if it is about freeing the inner goddess or a female warrior or an empowered breathing statue at peace. It's a little bit like, yeah, we've done this a bunch in a lot of different ways with a lot of different things, and maybe like do something else. Like iteration at Burning Man is hilarious. Iteration at Burning Man can be so fun. You shift things and change things, and an aesthetic grows in and of itself. And it's just like, maybe we're done with giant naked ladies. Maybe we've already said everything that needs to be said about giant naked ladies.
You know what I think would be truly courageous for an artist to do?
What?
That male artist to do that same pose with his own body. To free his inner goddess and really like show the whole Playa the direction that your dong hangs.
I was going to say that all future naked human figures must be over the top anatomical.
I want to know why there aren't more sculptures of men with huge nipples. Because they have them.
I want to see skin tags.
I want to see ingrown hairs and everybody's asshole is irritated and we can see it.
And that's art. Enjoy this interview with Victor.
let's get to it. Do you want to be Victor, or do you want to be Love Nest?
It doesn't matter. Whatever comes out of your mouth. It doesn't matter.
It's probably going to be Victor. Love Nest ends up being a mouthful to retain.
Yeah, okay, that's bad.
Man, that must be hard to shout that across Playa to you. It's a complex set of syllables.
It is, I guess, yeah.
That feels like a hook to get this started. Victor, how did you Love Nest?
Okay, so it took me about 5 years to get my Playa name, and I found this little wooden bird's nest, this balsa wood bird's nest, and I painted it pink, and I put a little white heart on it, and then I brought it to the Playa, and it was just kind of sitting there, and then on the line going in 2014, we were waiting in the line, and the people in front of us, we gave them some beers, they gave us some beers, and then, we walked away from the car, and we were talking to other people, and we came back to the car, and there were these necklaces made out of shells, little tiny shells, hanging on our rearview mirror, And I was like, wow, that's great. I'm just going to tie it to the love nest, because I was bringing this little love nest around to show people this little balsa wood birdhouse. And I put it around my neck. I tied it in. I put it, and I started wearing the love nest. And people just started calling me the love nest. That's it.
That it is extremely straightforward for a Playa name, and nice. That's a nice Playa name story.
Well,
I like it.
It just kind of happened. Mm-hmm. I didn't, I wrote love nest on there with a little heart, and then people just started calling me the love nest. Boom, that's it. Yeah, it just happened organically.
Love that. Clearly, you've got a long history with the Burn. How did you become a member of our cult?
Well, I heard about it since like the 90s, and I was always wanted to go. And then I was splitting my time between Ibiza in Spain and Santa Monica in California. I was doing Santa Monica in the winters and Ibiza in the summers, but I was always coming back late in September, and I was always missing it. And then I think in 2007, I came back early. I came back the last week in August, and it was Friday, and I said to myself, I think Burning Man, I didn't really know the dates, and I didn't really know anything about Burning Man except like a, party in the desert, like I guess everybody thinks. And sure enough, 2007, I went online, and it was starting on Monday. It was Friday, and you could buy tickets at the gate, obviously, back then. And I found an RV going up from Venice Beach, and I jumped in the RV with these two acid freaks. We drove up there. I entered, and we set up camp, and I grabbed my bike after, setting up camp, and I biked around for 4 hours, and I came back to camp, and I was completely mesmerized, and I said to myself, if I leave now, it's just completely worth it, whatever just coming in for 4 hours, and I could leave now, and my life is completely changed. It completely, wow. Took me by storm.
Oh, it really got under your skin.
Yeah, you got that transformative experience right away. I would say people usually have the transformative experience on Thursday their first year.
It was absolutely amazing. And the one guy that was in the RV, he basically stayed. I think it was his 11th burn or 12th burn at that time. And he basically didn't leave the camp, and he was just doing his thing. And I said, aren't you going to go out and check anything out? He goes, no, I've seen it all. It's all. And I was like, are you that jaded that you're just dropping doses and staying in your RV the whole week? It was crazy.
I have more space for that in the days when you could still buy a ticket at the gate. With the current limitations, if you're not getting out of your RV and seeing some shit, don't eat a ticket. Go eat acid in Yosemite.
Yeah, exactly.
Go park your car outside of a rave.
Just keep on driving east past the Playa or deeper into the Playa and just go out there. I don't know. But I was changed. I was, the hilarity and the sarcasm and the comedy, I was just laughing the whole time, and it was incredible.
You picked a hell of a first year. You got 2 burns for 1.
Yes, that's right. And I was just actually looking at photographs from 2007 of the man when he was burned. And he really was burned a lot.
It's a pretty big fire.
Was burned.
Yeah. Well, he is designed to burn.
He is designed. And I think there was a lunar eclipse.
There was indeed.
Yeah.
They happened simultaneously.
Yep. I thought it was a prank.
I thought it was a prank, too.
Yeah. It was my first year, too. It was a great first year.
It was.
Highly recommended.
There was a lot of big art. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Big Rig Jig.
Oh, right. Big Rig Jig was gorgeous. And then that was the year of The Crude Awakening.
Yeah, amazing.
That was incredible.
Absolutely. Lots of carbon.
Yes. Oh, we have to go find Big Rig Jig.
Yeah, the Big Rig Jig. The last time I heard about it was with Dismal Land, right? With Banksy in England, or no?
Oh, that strikes me as correct, but I think it's permanently installed somewhere in the Bay. I think it's like up in Sonoma or somewhere.
Okay.
Which I hope is the case, because I did not climb it when it was out on Playa, and I regret.
Either did I. And someone said that the interior was full of...
Yeah, it had it was all plants on the inside, so you're sort of crawling through a tunnel of plants.
Cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Real plants?
No, they were plastic.
Okay.
But it was really green and lush in there. It was cool.
I always just assumed it was the inside of a tank.
Yeah, the dichotomy between carbon and plants inside the fuel tanks or whatever. Yeah.
Love it.
Right?
Good job, Burning Man.
Yeah. Exactly. But another great art project that in 2007 was the monkeys with the strobe
Oh,
light
yeah.
on the carousel.
Yeah.
I love that. That was an amazing.
All of those, I think they're heliotropes.
Heliotropes.
Yeah, all the heliotropes. Are
Heliotropes,
just
yes.
incredible.
Yeah, that's something really special.
Yeah. All except for the, I didn't really care for the American Dream one.
Which one was the American Dream one?
It was like a spinning red, white, and blue top hat kind of affair. I have a picture of it somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I recall that one. I've erased most of them. It's so funny. 07 was such a good year for art, and 08 was such a bad year for art. I have erased almost everything that went out in 08.
And the interior of the playa was expanded, right? And it was very soft. Remember, it was very soft.
It was a real white-outy year.
That was the year of the way too big Esplanade.
Yes, exactly.
I love that our city experiments and immediately acknowledges when the experiment was wrong-o.
I wish they would experiment and bring back, you can only buy tickets at the gate.
Oh, what a nightmare.
I don't know. Would it be a nightmare? I don't know. I mean, they were doing it when 50,000 people were buying tickets at the gate. And, if you're prepared to go, you're prepared to go. And you're getting...
You could always buy tickets ahead of time.
Yeah, in 07, we all had our tickets.
Yeah.
I was pissed that one of the people got it at will call and we had to stop.
I was able to buy tickets at a used clothing store in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
They would just have, there were outlet locations where you could just go and buy a ticket.
Wow, okay. Didn't know that. Okay.
I think that wrapped up about the same time that Tickets at the Gate wrapped up when it just started to sell out.
Yeah, it just hurts my heart thinking of the box office crew having to deal with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And GPE, managing that line, the line would stretch to I-80.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But if you're really prepared to go and you're dedicated and you have your principles in order and everything, I don't know. You can't discriminate against sparkle ponies or anybody. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like keeping the purity of if you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
We're going to be wrestling with how do we deal with tickets forever because the demand exceeds the capacity of the event. So until there are 3 or 4 more global events that are of the scale and draw off some of the demand, we're going to just wrestle with this.
Well, I guess we have to go through the pains of that because it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it's a good situation because through the digital age, it's spread the ethos of Burning Man around the world. But people from around the world can buy their tickets online and then plan and think it's something less than what it is superficially, and get there and just bring their costumes and go party and dance and not really know what's happening. But it's spreading around the world at the same time. And I think we all go through this. People say, oh, Burning Man's commercial. I'm like, well, have you been? And no. Everybody that I ask that says that, they've never been. But I think people that go to Burning Man and they think they're just going to a rave, and they do rave, but I think it changes them more than they change Burning Man. It changes them into a better person. And I think
it almost certainly does.
Well, at least it turns them into a burner or someone who's not going to take up another ticket again.
Yes. Yeah. They're either coming back or they're done. And I get the inkling that Burning Man is moving towards being too passé to continue to draw in the people who are just drawing off the tickets for show.
Oh, God, wouldn't that be great if Burning Man became uncool?
I have a small feeling that might be happening.
It does suck, though.
Oh, it's stupid hard.
Yeah. And definitely killing the capacity to have luxury RVs delivered has changed the equation for people living off the glamour of the event.
You think that happened this year?
It totally happened this year. It was not 100% successful. There are still, like,
of course,
underground operators that managed to get through, but the official capacity to bring RVs in, the OSS, was eliminated.
Oh, okay, that way, right.
And then a bunch of people who were clearly delivering RVs were turned away at the gate. Like, a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't run into the Narc form? They send out a Narc form to all the people who are leads for camps being like, do you suspect one of your neighbors of being a plug and play?
No, we never got that.
Yeah, they're like, talk about your neighborhood. Who is good neighbors? Whose activities did you like participating with? Is there anyone you suspect of being a plug and play camp?
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that you got the placement survey and there's one Narc question, so it becomes the Narc.
It was so narky. I liked it. No, it's good.
Oh, wow. That's the first step to fashion. When you have to narc on your neighbors. Wow, we're going into Burning Man fashion.
It was actually a cool survey. It was talking a lot about how the neighborhood worked for your camp, how, like, if you were getting enough involvement from other camps, if you liked the camps that were near you, if there were any conflicts or stuff like that. I mean, it's a smart form to have to talk to people who are doing the logistics of large camps. But there was, though, a Narc question.
Placement is incredible. The work they do is just nuts.
I think the whole system is incredible. The work and the thoroughness of everything is, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love the whole organization is, I mean, of course there's problems with building a city and dropping it in 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
but it's amazing. The detail that goes into it and the thought process and the creativity and the whole string of comedy that ties everything together is beautiful.
Oh my God. Not an hour goes by out on Playa where there's not belly laughs just everywhere.
Oh my God.
It's so funny.
This year, being out there an extra week early and getting to see DPW really doing all of the stuff that they do, and the amount of, like, how ridiculous it all is just kept coming into focus, like, the whole time. It's like, wow, this is a lot of people working really hard in the baking sun to make a thing that's going to disappear.
For making something completely silly.
Super silly,
Yeah, super silly, but right to the heart. Mm-hmm. Deep down into the heart that makes humanity very special.
Punch the nothingness, acts of punctuation, a punctured and fast deflating thing, breathing out until we are all empty skin. I'm an obsolete war machine, I'm extremely glad to be here, I'm glad that the fantasy, it just wasn't deep enough still. I've just got this one big emotion I drag behind me now.
A lot of times I'm really stupid. I don't carry water with me when I go out to the playa.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Wow, you're a risk taker.
Well, this year I did because I was working, but I would go because I'm like I'll always run into a bar. I'll always run into something if I'm out there, and I can always jet back because I always know where I am. But this was the first year I got lost out there in a dust storm at night.
Ooh.
It was a very strange year. This year was completely. I didn't even feel like I was. I don't know where I was this year with this project. So it was.
This year was hard for everybody in a lot of ways. And I can't tell you how pleased I am looking at some satellite photos and seeing all of northern Nevada completely packed with snow.
Yay.
It's going to be a nice playa this year, I think.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
I'm pretty confident more than enough snow up there to make Lake Lunhattan rise real high, which means we'll have a nice solid playa surface.
Yeah. I just think we all got soft. We had those years where it was just nice the entire time. You remember 2008, how fucking bad that was? People were packing up on Thursday. Like, it's bad out there sometimes.
It's bad out there. This was just, this year, the degree of powdery playa was more extreme than I've seen it in the past, and that was nasty.
Oh, God, the storm on Burn Day, that was just demoralizing. It was so hot.
Yeah.
So white out for so long.
But the storm Monday night was a trip.
Oh, that was Monday night. Yeah, we were still building. Oh my God.
Were you out there as those came in, as the lightning storms came in?
I can't remember. Who knows? But one night I was out at my project, and a dust storm came in, and I started biking. The project was at, where was it? It was about 11:15. Hold on. Yeah, about 11:15 and D or so. So out there. And then I started biking toward, like, kind of like Mayan Warrior, where the Mayan Warrior camp was, where toward 10 o'clock. And I saw that art car that was shaped like a half moon. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it was a dust storm, and I was going toward this art car, and I'm like, okay, I'm going toward the direction where I'm supposed to go. And we had issues with the lights at the art project, so I took the light off of my bike because I needed to have it lit up somehow, because it was like something happened with the generator, and I was going back to camp to get some fuel or something. And I saw this art car, and I went to the art car, and people were dancing. It was cool. And then I continued going toward 10 o'clock, but I was going toward the other way. I was going toward like 12 o'clock or 11 or whatever, 11:30, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. I just have to listen for the music. I'm like, I'm somewhere crazy out here. And then I just listened to the music, and I just, in the darkness, I followed the music, and I finally came to the end of 10NK or whatever, wherever Mayan Warrior was. And then I just found, got to camp. But the first time I got lost. But it was at night, obviously, and I was going through the dust. And
see, that's when those Eagle Scout skills come back. You're like, well, yeah. I've lost my visual reference, so which way to the unce?
Exactly.
Though there's a little bit of risk there if you're like on the 10 o'clock side of the city, because that's where the DMZ is out at Deep Playa, and you could be going towards the loud art cars and not know it.
Oh yeah, you could be misled.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not going to hear 2 o'clock, but you could easily hear Space Cowboys
somewhere.
The DMZ is that cordoned off section like a mile from the man at 11:30, where the art cars can park all night long and play their unce
and party
as loud as they want.
Yeah, but I have a fairly good sense of direction, but that night I didn't. But everything was flipped upside down, sort of. Yeah, it was a crazy year, so I can't wait to go back next year.
So why don't you tell us about what you did this year?
I got dusty this year. A little dusty. No, I brought my 8-meter, 24-foot diver up sculpture. And to be honest with you, I never had a harder week of my life physically. And it was really, by the end, it took me usually I'm out of the burn and I'm okay to go. This year I was physically exhausted for about a week after, 10 days. And I don't know if it was the heat, because, the heat's always there and the dust is always there. It was just, I guess, just working, and the stress and the communication and logistics, just, overall, I guess, mental stress and just doing everything just really took its toll. And, I watched the burn from my sculpture, and I watched the temple. I saw that from the sculpture, and I felt like I wasn't even there. I was going between my camp to the artery to heat, back to the sculpture, back to the artery, to my camp. It was like biking back and forth, all of these places, just doing this ring. I hardly saw any other art, and it was just like, wow. It was just, I'm looking at photographs, I'm like, I didn't see anything. And usually I'm exploring everywhere, and I'm trying to see everything. It was, what a crazy year,
So let's contextualize this just a little. Had you brought art to Playa before?
Yeah, in 2009 with Spankies, I brought a 20-foot photograph of the diver, because it originally was a photograph. I don't know if you know that, that I took in 2005. So I had this blown up on like banner mesh material, and I got some painter's scaffolding, and I had the photograph up. So I did that year, and then in 2019, I brought a 6 or 7 foot wooden sculpture of the diver, and we burned it on the man after the man burned. But that was like set up in, just had to bring it out there and set it, basically nail it down to the playa. You know, that took like an hour. But this year, the logistics. First of all, it was 3 days coming in late. It was supposed to arrive on the 25th, and it finally arrived on Sunday. That was a big issue with the OSS problem because I had it trucked up to Gerlach and then get the outside service provider getting it trucked in, you know, the 20 miles or whatever it is from Gerlach. And that communication was broken down. Couldn't get in touch with that trucker. And I think it was sitting in Gerlach for a good 72 hours.
Oh, you totally ran into that same trucking issue. It was there weren't enough of people.
There weren't enough cabs and driver hours available.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's that supply chain shit.
Yeah, that's not on us, right? It's the feds, right?
That's just the state of the world. I think there's a real labor shortage in the trucking industry right now.
Truckers?
Yeah, because over the past 7 to 10 years, the economics of trucking has shifted dramatically. Like, it's
just
not
tanked.
a middle class lifestyle anymore, and so people don't want to go into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a bunch of practices that are really abusive of truckers. Like, they don't get paid when they have to sit in port.
And they're also teetering on the edge. Like, the industry's going to die as soon as we get self-driving trucks, which is maybe not in the next few years, but is definitely in the future.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily make sense to
go into trucking.
Your sleeper cab and becoming an owner-operator anymore. It's just very weird sector of the economy.
Okay. Someone told me that, or maybe someone suggested that maybe Burning Man does the actual trucking for the bigger art pieces with heat or whatever. So I don't know if that's crazy. I don't know if someone mentioned that it's happening or it was a suggestion.
I can tell you for sure that it's a problem that the people responsible are trying diligently to overcome. There were a bunch of lessons learned for the organization this year that we're going to have to apply next year.
There's a bunch of issues. I've heard about it coming from a bunch of different sources that the outside service operators were not doing the things that, they're supposed to be doing out there. Someone told me that they had to bribe the person who is supposed to be servicing their RV that they'd already booked, that they already had a time with. They had to bribe them with money to get them to actually show up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I heard people paying before and not even getting serviced.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Sorry, that just all of that garbage, but you faced that struggle, so you ended up with getting your art in later than you planned.
On Sunday, day of the burn started.
Where were you shipping it in from?
Came from Mexico, actually. I had it built in Mexico. I was doing my bit of NAFTA.
So it comes in Sunday. They haul it directly out to your site where you put it up?
Yeah, they finally dropped it there on Sunday. Supposed to be there on Wednesday. We arrived on Thursday, the crew, 12 of us. So we set up camp and we kind of waited for it. But in between the waiting, I'm running back between the artery and trying to get communication and blah, blah, blah. So it comes in on Sunday and we set up the foundation base. And then Heat says they're going to bring the crane at 9 a.m. on Monday. So we have 6 crew members out there waiting. And thank God we brought a pop-up tent and, of course, water and stuff like that. But we waited 9 hours for the crane on Monday, which, I mean, it is what it is. But, I mean, there's only a certain amount of heavy machinery for all the art projects,
Yeah, and only so many people trained to use, especially the big equipment.
Of course. If it showed up on Thursday, maybe it would have went right up on Thursday, because basically, when they came, the body was up within an hour, or an hour and a half. And then they said we needed the crane again on Tuesday, and they said, okay, we're going to have a meeting at 9. We'll be directly with you at 9:30. And we waited another 9 hours, and that was really demoralizing for the team. Because, you're seeing people bike by, and people are partying, and Burning Man's going on, and it's Tuesday of the burn. It's already 3 days in, and wow, that really took its toll on everyone. Looking back, I should have just told everybody, just go, bike around. When you see a big giant crane coming towards the diver, come back. And I wish I did that because, I could have just stayed out there and I could have just told everybody to go. So we finally got everything basically set up on Wednesday, everything with the lights and everything. But whatever, it is what it is. She got out there. It's fine.
After this experience, are you going to bring big art out again?
I'm going to bring something smaller this year. Let's see if I get the honorarium this year. But I did a series called the Consciousness Series, and I made one about a 3-foot rotating wooden piece, and there's 33 meditating ceramic heads that you spin, and it's all about consciousness and how we can, meditate and blah, blah, blah. And I want to make this 12 feet across, and I'm going to make 33 bigger heads of ceramic heads. It's going to be interactive, and you'll be able to walk up to this art, and then you spin it, and it'll be like a roulette wheel. Wherever you're standing, one head will stop in front of you, and there'll be a sign underneath the head of something, maybe like hope or fear or love or hug or whatever it is. So all the emotions. But that shouldn't take more than 6 hours to set up, I don't think. I'm saying that now. I'm going to have this thing designed correctly so it doesn't. Yeah, but I mean, it's only going to be like 3 feet off the ground.
So you at least won't need a crane.
No, I won't need anything from Burning Man. Maybe the anchors.
Oh, it's always helpful to ground anchor.
Yeah. But the diver, I want to bring back the diver sooner or later. Not this year, but I'd like to bring her back and get that helmet on her. So that was the purpose. But it was beautiful the way it was anyway.
Was it your plan to not put the helmet on, or was that a logistical fall through?
It was a happy accident, basically. When it arrived, it was packed in Mexico. I left Mexico, and it was in proper order. And when it came, everything was like cushioned with styrofoam on the tractor trailer, and styrofoam is very moopy. And the arty was like, what's going on with this? I'm like, holy shit, I didn't pack this. So they packed it down there, and okay, it is what it is. So we took the styrofoam away, and the helmet was rushed at the end. And I didn't trust the way it was built. The metal, I just didn't trust it. I'm like, I'm not going to put it up there because if there was an accident, there's an accident, and I'm not going to have that. So I left it on the ground, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, the whole reason behind the diver is she's the feminine goddess. With the original photograph, I wanted to mix that industrial helmet with the female body, Mother Earth and man-made. And she's ready to lift this. She's called Diver Up. She's ready to lift this piece of man-made machinery and free the feminine goddess from patriarchy and inequality. So I said, okay, maybe this is the time. She's taken the helmet off, and it's on the ground, and she's freed herself from this patriarchy that we've been living through for like 2,000 years or 2,500 years. And people loved it. But then I started getting a lot of feedback. 99% of the people loved it. But then some people on the Facebook, they're like, oh, she doesn't have a head, and it's demoralizing, and you're just like another woman with big tits and no head. I'm like, oh, my God. Now I have to go through this. But the intention of the original photograph, it is what it is. And when I first took that photograph in 2005, more women were buying the photograph than men. And I was like, wow, this has a lot of power to it with women. And so it's a beautiful message, but people always criticize. And then, I was getting a lot of support from other people saying, well, have you ever built anything at Burning Man? If something goes wrong, for me, I brought it out there with good intention. Like I said, 99% of the people really loved the project, and people were coming up to me and hugging me and thanking me for bringing this piece of art out there. So it was very satisfying.
I'm really glad that you got the response that you were hoping for. Personally, I'm one of the people who find your artist statement and the actual piece to not really be doing the same thing exactly.
If the helmet was on there, it would have, right?
I mean, I kind of don't actually particularly think so, because I don't think of a diver's helmet as the patriarchy. I mean, the original photograph is really lovely. I think that it's a lovely juxtaposition, a beautiful naked female form, and that big, metallic, very interesting, old-fashioned diver's helmet. It's very striking, especially the original one, which had the boat wreck in the background. Very compelling. I don't really think that it has anything, at least in my interpretation, to do with freeing the goddess or being about divine feminine. I think it's beautiful. I think it's sexy. I think that it's weird to say that it is a feminist statement.
As far as patriarchy, I'm equating the industrial like a man-made object, a piece of heavy weight on the feminine in a metaphorical way.
Yeah.
Thing. And then you have the soft, beautiful feminine the human form, That's my reference. I mean, every artist has their references, and everybody can debate. And to be honest with you, I love the debate and I love what you're saying, because if there wasn't debate about art, that means it's boring art and it's not talked about. When it's talked about, that means it's actually enticing on both ends of the controversy, which is beautiful.
It is absolutely true that successful art is art that generates a strong response.
Yeah, and I'd have to say that your piece is one that I continue to talk about with people.
I'm sorry, you feel very what?
I feel compelled to keep talking about it with people. It is one of my most frequently mentioned pieces out on Playa this year. Absolutely.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so if it was out there with the helmet on, what would you feel?
I honestly don't think that the sculpture, even with the helmet on, is going to carry the same feeling as the photograph, which, like, I really find the difference in the skin and the texture and the helmet to be really the compelling part, like the smooth and beautiful line of the female form and this and metallic, heavy, like, different texture. When they're both made out of the same texture, I think it ends up not saying the same thing as the photo. And in general, I think that it doesn't look like the same weight. Like the arms don't look like they're lifting exactly.
Okay.
That might seem different with the helmet
on. Yeah, maybe.
Then they'll be in reference to one another.
It's going to be interesting when it's up there because,
You know what I liked? That wooden one that you built the first year. I think that was because it was abstracted. I found it much more compelling.
Okay. But the helmet was on. So maybe if the helmet was on this year, you might have found it more compelling. Because, I'm looking at this thing and this is the first time I'm actually seeing my piece of art. And, living with the photograph for 17 years. Mm-hmm. And then making the small bronzes that I have, they're only like a foot tall, seeing it as that sculpture. And then now I'm seeing it out there at 24 feet. And without the helmet on, I'm looking at it as something that I never really expected to see in my life until now.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty cool.
And then if I put flames coming out of the top of her, maybe for the head, and I don't know, or balloons or something. I don't know.
Can I ask you a question, an artistic question?
Yeah.
It seems like your work is really iterative of itself. Like this image, you've reproduced it and reproduced it. You've painted with it. You're talking about maybe putting it under the ocean for like a false reef thing. Mm-hmm. And now this next piece that you're talking about, Burning Man, I believe I saw an image of the one you're talking about on your website. So it's also an iteration of a piece that you did before. And I'm just wondering, like, if you feel you might want to someday bring out something that you've never made before.
That's definitely going to happen, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
How does iteration, how do you approach it as an artist? What brings you to keep coming back to these images and trying to find new contexts for them?
Like making the consciousness series bigger, you mean? And bringing that out there, and why not just bring something completely new?
And the diver up image.
I don't mean why not just bring something new? Iteration is a very valid and interesting form of artistic expression. I was just wondering why you're drawn towards iteration. What compels you about revisiting these images over and over again? I mean,
I've always wanted to see diver up big out there, like rising from the desert. I always wanted to see her big on the scale because it's so big out there. The playa is so big. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason for the diver. For the reason for the consciousness series, it's just the heads. I want to see the heads full size human heads instead of these 2 or 3 inches. And it's interactive. That people can actually stand, 33 people can stand around this thing and spin it, and wherever it lands, they have a message of a word. But for sure, you'll see something that I've never made before out there. Maybe it's going to be 2024. Maybe you've sparked something in me. Maybe you'll, okay.
The playa is a blank canvas, and there's
it is
infinite inspiration to be had on that canvas. The scale of it is it compels.
There's thousands of projects that you can break your body, mind, and soul on trying to get up out there.
There are
for sure
so many credenzas and end tables and chests of drawers in thrift stores all up and down the West Coast that can be lightly adorned and placed as art.
We saw no end tables this year.
You're right. This year actually may signal the death of a Burning Man artistic sub movement. Rest in power, thrift store.
You mean
furniture.
just randomly, just furniture out there, people sitting? I thought it was, just with a lampshade, like in the middle of the playa.
Like a set of drawers that people leave stuff in.
If you're making a little room,
I love that stuff.
That's great.
Yeah.
But it's the like, here is an armoire. Leave your Fimo necklaces and stickers in it for others. We put a blinky on it. It's art.
Yeah, anything is art.
Everything is art if you do it right.
Wrong way was art.
Yes. And whatever the failed art project we
Trap house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That was art.
Oh, you were working out near that area. Did you have any idea about what the weird building thing was that was out there? That was just like insulation on the inside? And like a broken Papasan chair?
The one that was kind of like a maze inside? Was it? I don't.
No, it was just trash inside. There was like some action figures and like some paper mache planets hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, I think so.
Buckets of nails.
And it had a way in, but it wasn't really a door.
Yeah, it was like a half-framed room with a crumbling wall in the middle of the playa.
Send me pictures. I don't know if I remember that, but I mean, maybe it's
We saw it in the middle of the night, so we don't have any pictures of it.
Dada meets the playa. I don't know.
It kind of feels like it was either a failed art project that was completely given up on Tuesday, or a completely guerrilla art project.
Okay.
Meant to simulate an art project given up on Tuesday.
Wow. There's a lot of that out there anyway, I think. I like when DPW, they just destroy cars and just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Leave them out there. I love that stuff. Some people cried in front of my sculpture and gave me hugs. And then Aubrey Marcus had his wedding in front of it, and I didn't really know who he was. He has his podcast. I just happened to be out there, and like 20 people of his wedding party came out, and they started doing their wedding celebration. And I was like, wow, why did you pick this? And he said, because she's the feminine goddess and she's rising. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I just walked away, and I took some pictures, and then put a picture up on social media after the burn in September. And then someone said, do you know who that is? And I said, no. And they told me, and I'm like, okay, wow.
That's super sweet.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat. Like, I recognize that name is somebody that I've heard of, but I cannot place who he is.
He talks a lot about, spirituality and there's good stuff, what's happening, awareness, and what's happening in the world. And yeah, for me, it was a good moment. So.
I loved that piece in a way. But
you loved the interactions that piece generated.
And I really did appreciate this human being willing to come talk to us when we had expressed pretty direct criticism of a piece that obviously took a lot of people and a lot of time and a lot of effort. All of the art out there, it's an admirable masochism for folks to bring art out there, and especially the big art. I am always impressed that you just did it at all.
And it's a lot of emotional risk. You're putting yourself out there to be judged harshly by three dweebuses in a shed.
But like, you are putting it out there, and you're going to hear some non-flattering stuff about your work at some point. And hopefully you're going to hear a bunch of flattering stuff about your work. But I wanted to say, no matter how much I don't like your giant naked lady statues, wow, that was hard to bring them out there.
And good job reaching out and coming to talk to us. That was braver even than bringing it out in the first place. And our man performed admirably.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us your
talk
time.
to.
And sharing your experiences at Burning Man and your experience as an artist. It's always nice to get a bit more of the inside of people's heads who managed to bring out shit out there. Also, the initial photo is great. Go take a look at it, especially the larger image of the woman with the whole shipwreck behind her is startling and lovely. I can understand why an artist would get fixated on it. Fuck. Guys, you know how he said this guy got married in front of it?
Yes.
Do you remember how we looked up who it was that he was so excited got married in front of
I'm
it?
afraid I do.
Yeah.
Can you tell me who Aubrey Marcus is?
I'm embarrassed to say that Aubrey Marcus got some quantity of my money once because he sells a very fancy exercise mace on his On It exercise stuff store that he runs with Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah. Let's investigate this a little more because look, we all like maces, and you can get maces from people who aren't associated with Dick Pills and Joe Rogan. But who might decide that a headless torso is what they want to get married in front of? Oh, is it a failed polyamorous scam artist fucking red-pilled asshole?
Is it?
It is.
It might be.
I loved this so much. It is such a nice Easter egg of this piece of art.
It really is. During the interview when he said it, I'm like, I know that name. I don't think I want to know that name. Why? That's not a great name for me. Whose name is that? Is that a podcast person?
Aubrey Marcus is absolutely someone who has a more successful podcast than us.
Oh, for sure.
Makes a living selling supplements.
Yeah.
You know,
Like Alex Jones.
like Alex Jones.
So I found the thing that we wanted to read.
Oh, did you?
I did. This is from thebanter.substack.com by Ben Cohen. Title of the article is Aubrey Marcus, How a Wellness Guru Became an Irresponsible COVID Conspiracy Theorist.
There it is.
Starting a couple of paragraphs down. Like many other wellness influencers and new age figures, Marcus's social media postings began to take an extremely troubling turn during the COVID pandemic. Over the past year, he has promoted anti-vax conspiracy theorists and fringe doctors like Zach Bush, taken a strange interest in the topic of child slavery, and shared posts from rabid anti-maskers and alt-right Trump supporters. Last month, Marcus released a spoken poem to his Instagram account titled A Revolution of Solidarity. It was a confused, emotionally manipulative, and embarrassingly bad piece of anti-vax, anti-mask propaganda produced in collaboration with prominent conspiracy theorist Mickey Willis, creator of Plandemic.
Oh, no.
And far-right anti-mask activist and comedian J.P. Sears. Featuring deeply disturbing footage of starving children and abused women, Marcus appeared to link child slavery, spousal abuse, poverty, and starvation to vaccines and mask wearing during the pandemic.
Fucking asshole.
The poem has been viewed almost 400,000 times and has spread widely in New Age circles. This is who got married in front of some headless tits.
It is a definite choice. Yeah, that goes in the outro.
Oh, sometimes research is the most satisfying thing.
What I will say in regards to art criticism and our style of doing it,
Sloppily?
sloppily and like with certainty. Profound certainty.
Confidence, please.
Speak for yourself. At some point, Victor mentioned something his friend said, which in the face of artistic criticism, regardless how valid, they have no place to criticize because they didn't build a giant art thing on Playa. And I think that is an almost dangerous road to go down. Being able to criticize things, artistic things that you can't do, things in your environment, your government, or social situations. I don't think you necessarily have to have experience doing that thing to be able to speak intelligently about like why you don't appreciate something.
No, I think what you need to do is be sincere, demonstrate an understanding of what it is you're critiquing, And
know the difference between an educational environment and a podcast, where you can shit all over anyone for the funsies of
And
it.
if the doctors tell you to get vaccinated, you get vaccinated. It does not matter how much you think you know. You are not doctors.
update listeners, speaking of art, on our ongoing mystery for those of you who listen closely. This art piece that we ran into this last year that we were, what were we calling it? Do you remember what we were calling it?
The Trap House?
Yeah, we're calling it the Trap House that we stumbled upon on our night wander. Almost certainly not placed art. In hindsight, it had no safety lights.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a piece of placed art at Burning Man that doesn't have nighttime safety lights.
I think D-Day saw the moon reflecting off of its side and was like, that's the darkest possible thing. That's a thing. Let's go towards it.
And what a reward.
We found
No
guerrilla
complaints
art.
about dark art this year.
And if it was your guerrilla art, God bless you.
Oh, God, if you know who made this, we're really
Please
interested.
bring them on our show.
Yeah.
Or just come on our show and feed us rumors, or make things up whole cloth and come on the show and prank us.
And regardless of your relationship to our unnamed dark art, come on our show. You who's listening right now, come on our show. Email us. Hit us up.
We've only got 3 in the bank right now.
We need you on our show.
Yeah, come talk to us. We're excited to hear about how it went for you last year. What horrible train wreck did you encounter that you weren't expecting after 3 years of not going? How did your camp blow up in new and interesting ways?
I'm looking forward to being less rusty this year.
Oh, yeah, I was rusty as fuck.
Shy, faraway listeners, you don't have to have come to Black Rock City to be on our show. Tell us about how Burning Man is for you. Tell us about your regional. We want to know, because Burning Man is goddamn everywhere. And you don't have to come to Oakland to be on our show, though it's really cool if you do.
Yeah, you can call in.
It sounds pretty good.
You don't even have to hang out with us in a shed.
But you do have to have a headset.
Also, if you are interested and are doing stuff at Burning Man this year, let us know. We may show up. We like getting invited to do things by listeners. Our listeners are fucking rad and do all kinds of shit all over Playa. We would be interested, and we're a hell of a lot more likely to show up if you drop us a note than we are if we're just looking through the where, what, when.
We'll bring you a sticker.
Yeah. So if you're already in your Burning Man planning, a couple of things are invite us to your cool shit. And remember, we're going to have a listener appreciation party as we do every year. And we will know more about that later.
So I wasn't able to be at the recording of this episode because my boy and I needed to learn about Egyptian artifacts from the Ramses II era. So you and Rex interviewed Victor, and I got to edit the episode. And what I heard when I edited the episode is you guys talking about Peter Hudson's Homouroboros, and you called it a heliotrope.
That's a flower.
Yes, it is a flower and a color and a brewery and also a perfume. And you guys were thinking of a zoetrope, which is the barrel with the slits in it that spins, and you see static images inside that become animation. What Peter makes is a stroboscopic sculpture. I helped him make one of them.
We have a monkey mask on the wall in the shed.
Yeah, and that's from Homouroboros, and we have that bone thigh is from Sharon.
Well, thank you for giving us the appropriate words to admire the fucking really cool art.
Yeah, you're lucky that we're not talking about zip ties as well. Also, I would like to say that I would like one of those small bronze sculptures of Divers Up as long as they're not too expensive. We're pretty poor artists, but I would love to have a Divers Up on the counter in the studio.
Are you telling that to Victor? Or,
You're telling that to us.
Are you trying to justify an expenditure out of the Patreon budget?
I'm not saying that the patrons would pay for it. I would pay for it for the studio. And I'm talking to Victor. Hi, Victor. I wish we got a chance to talk when you called in for the interview.
I see. Accuracy Third was produced by Accuracy Third.
The music on this episode is another song by Me Rex, Sacred Cancer. And you can find them on Bandcamp at Me Rex on Bandcamp. People know how to Bandcamp. I don't have to URL Bandcamp. It's Bandcamp.
You can email us at accuracythird, all spelled out, at gmail.com.
And if you would like to help support our podcast, you can do so in our Patreon, where our patrons this episode will be getting not only the uncut episode,
A lot more of us sounding like
the uncut interview of Beth and Rex interviewing Victor, but also like an hour's worth of intro and outro stuff with us talking about a whole bunch of different arts on Playa. And not necessarily being that nice.
Oh,
But
homie,
funny.
We're about to hit an hour 15. Friends, if you want so much more of us being jerks,
kind of assholes
Yeah.
about other people's hard work.
8 of those minutes is us just like waiting for Beth to find stuff online.
it's a very few dollars a month.
For $1 a month,
we'll
you
send-
get access to our Patreon.
A single solitary dollar.
A single solitary dollar.
For as little as $12 a year,
But for
you
$5 and $10, you do get more audio.
could provide us beer for our next interview.
I've seen abandoned unwavering light. I have watched the garden descend into wilds. I no longer feel raging and terrified. I no longer feel like I am just a child.
Third year was great. I was with Spanky's Wine Bar.
Oh,
I love Spankies. Loved.
Yeah. Met a bunch of friends that still have friends with now. And, Spanky's is always fun. And, yeah, it was super. Very cool.
Spanky's is one of those places where I love the setup and the ambiance, and I want nothing to do with what they're serving.
Yeah, wine is.
Red wine on Playa? Oh, my God.
Yeah, Spankies and Spikes both are just like red wine.
But they have Ice Cream Tuesdays.
Oh,
Did you know about that?
I don't know that I did.
Well, they usually do. I don't know if they usually have Ice Cream Tuesdays. Ice Cream Tuesdays at Spanky's.
I do like ice cream more than I like Tuesdays.
They used to have the Canadian beaver licking contest as well. I don't know if they had that this year. If you can guess what that is.
Wasn't that also where Chairway to Heaven was based out of? Or did that just get like placed nearby a lot?
Oh, they did have that, actually. I don't know if they didn't have it this year.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah. They used to have a lot of big, they had the seesaw and they had the Chairway to Heaven or whatever it was. And then, yeah. But they didn't have anything this year. Weird.
It was
It was a hard year. It was a lot of stuff didn't get done.
Yeah, Jim's just taking it easy.
Yeah.
And you know what? It'll be better next year.
Yeah, for sure.
It always was. It always will be. Next year, only 5% of us get COVID.
What? Yeah. God.
People were saying that because of the 2-year layoff, a lot of the more seasoned veterans or some didn't come back, and there were some, I guess, cogs in the wheel that were missing, that people, inexperienced people had to come in and fill in and learn, and that's why some things were whatever.
That is 100% true. There was a lot of staff turnover, both in the paid staff and the volunteer staff this year.
Yep.
A lot of things had to get redone from scratch.
Relearned or recreated.
Wow.
But then there were like a ton of other things that were making stuff really hard, like
Supply chain issues.
a lot of supply chain issues were weighing on us everywhere, and a lot of materials deteriorated in the off season. So this is just like
Because the off season was 3 years instead of a year.
So it was a hard year for like 1,000 reasons.
Yeah. Was the supply chain because of the OSS thing?
No, so it was just like the supply chain problems that are affecting the economy in general. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
In particular, the shipping is really heavily hit right now. So
Yeah.
it is hard to get particular things that you're trying to buy or.
We had to wait a couple of days for zip ties. Very important zip ties.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Zip ties are everywhere.
Not these ones.
In the world.
They're industrial zip ties that hold the shade on the Oculus, the big center tent. So it turns out that zip ties can't go through heat and freezing for 3 years and still be good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently. You learn new
How
things.
big are they? Are they like 1 inch thick or like 2 inches wide? Or how big are they?
They're like aviation grade zip ties.
Oh, wow.
Super high tensile strength.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we need a lot of them.
Yeah, totally. It was such a hard year. It's funny that it was a lot of fun. Everyone was very gentle with everyone because it seems like everyone understood that we were all relearning and stuff was going to go slower.
Yeah.
And it was very kind and lovingly not having our shit together.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat.
People just wanted it to happen. Let's just make it happen and just get through it, right?
Just grin and bear it. This is what you wanted, isn't it?
Everybody was going slower because there wasn't coffee bean. Maybe. At
Maybe.
camp.
Obviously, that it wasn't the heat.